But I'm a Cheerleader, directed by Jamie Babbitt, is a satirical queer film made in 1999 amongst the boom of romantic comedies. This movie showcases queer stereotypes in Hollywood and how lesbians have been represented in media since the 90s. The film explores themes of queer relationships, conversion therapy, and the satirical nature of sexuality stereotyping. Grossing $2.5 million in the box office worldwide, the film was technically not a flop in the eyes of critics, but was still not a massive success at the time. With the release of countless rom-coms in the same year, Never Been Kissed, Notting Hill, 10 Things I Hate About You to name a few, this queer comedy was lost in amongst the pile of heteronormative romance movies. The film made waves in Hollywood, with reviewers critiquing it for focusing on such dark subject matter and being brave enough to make a gay comedy after the devastation of the AIDS epidemic. In this video essay, I'll be focusing on Jamie Babbitt's role as a queer director and her take on stereotyping lesbians and the LGBTQ community in an ironic way that comments on Hollywood's outwardly limited representation of queer people. The title of this film is the first indication into the idea of stereotyping.
I'm not perverted. I get good grades, I go to church, I'm a cheerleader.
The phrase, "but I'm a cheerleader," links to the idea that because Megan is a white blonde American high school cheerleader, she cannot be a lesbian. The representation of Megan's life can be seen as an example of anxious displacement, defined by Andre Cavalcante. This meaning, in media products such as this, anxious displacement is how films try to normalise the lives of LGBT characters and their experiences. But in turn, the process ends up taking away from the identity of these characters and enforces negatively codified stereotypes of their lives. How we as an audience view Megan serves as anxious displacement by use of the femme lesbian, and how even in today's society and media, feminine women are less likely to play lesbian characters, as they have always been portrayed as having a more masculine exterior. In an interview with Variety, Jamie Babbitt says that the title of this movie makes fun of the binary, and that it's ridiculous to say that just because you become more feminine means you're going to be less gay. She says that she always wanted to make a movie about a girl who embraces her lesbianism without riding off on a motorcycle towards the end. As RuPaul's character Mike, along with her friends and family, stage an intervention prior to her going to True Directions, we see more of Megan's stereotypically lesbian traits revealed, like her having pictures of women in her locker, becoming a vegetarian, not wanting to kiss her boyfriend, and having a pillow that depicts imagery of a vulva. These are examples of archetypal motifs in queer culture, and these depictions poke fun of how queer women are perceived by heterosexual viewers through the lens that is pushed by Hollywood. These stereotypes could be seen as negative. However, I would argue that these traits do not have negative connotation to the queer experience, and in turn highlight how queer representation has changed, especially since the 90s. Lesbian and gay images and filmmakers had turned a corner, no longer burdened by the approval-seeking sackcloth of positive imagery or the relative obscurity of marginal production. Films could be more radical and popular, stylish and economically viable. Comparing this film to its modern counterparts, the recognisable traits of queer culture are used as a comedic structure, showing the audience the way in which satirical stereotyping acts as the crux of this film. Whereas in current media, queer culture is becoming more accepting and popularised, depictions of the queer experience become less on the nose and more expressive as per audiences' expectations. Looking into character stereotypes, it is plain to see that Megan's character is not the only one that fits into a box. Every character in the narrative acts as a stereotyped depiction of queer identity. For example, Jan is a butch lesbian that plays softball, Sinead is a goth, Graham is a confident masculine woman, and Andre is a feminine gay man that loves to act and dance. These are self-confessed traits that the characters present themselves as, and these cliches carry forward the idea that gay people follow a pattern of perpetuating certain traits that define their queer identity. This idea is seen again later when the True Directions group discussing their root.
For Megan to be reminded of your root, Graham.
My mother got married in pants.
This scene parodies the idea that certain actions can cause a person to be gay, and displays the idea of internalized homophobia, a subject that is clear in the portrayal of Megan's character. To conclude, Jamie Babbitt used this film as an outlet to express her distaste towards stereotyping sexualities in Hollywood, using satirical and ironic characterization, and therefore reclaiming the offensive and negative connotations that queer characters and storylines have faced, giving a fresh perspective on LGBTQ representation.